Okay, I think we can get started. We are the first speaker for this semester. Today we have Dr. Yoon from the Department of Human Resource Development and People Analytics. He's a professor in the department. So Dr. Yoon is the president of the Academy of Human Resource Development for the 2024 to 2026 term. His research focuses on enhancing both employee and organizational growth by integrating leadership, learning, knowledge sharing, and technology. He passionately applies a framework from social, spatial, network science, and data analytics to achieve these goals. He also served 2 terms as an associate editor for the Human Resource Development Quarterly Journal from 2015 to 2022. Welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you for inviting me and start the fall workshop series as the first speaker. I feel like not many people, especially from the College of Education and Social Science, do their work applying data science. And so today I want to show several projects, what's happening regarding the workforce and education space. And my goal is to finish the presentation around 40-45 minutes, so we can have some Q&A and discussion for potential collaborations. I heard some folks are joining online, and this session is recorded. So for those who join online, I don't have a mechanism to monitor the screen, but if you have any question, then we have like folks here who can relate your questions. And those who like watch the recording later, hopefully we can continue to have this conversation. So I will move some slides very quickly because I know I prepared a lot. And so like for this presentation, maybe a couple of unique backgrounds I have is I worked as an IT manager for 6 years. I worked with the programmers and network administrators daily, meeting with the clients from the starting point to finish the projects. And working as an associate editor for our top empirical journal in our field gave me a chance to really get familiar with what instruments, constructs people are measuring. And I worked as a institutional effectiveness evaluator. And so I learned a very valuable lesson. The moment you talk, say the word machine learning or regression, then like you lose half of the audience, especially from the administrators or like C-level people who really like want to focus on what are the values, what goes into these products or team, and why do we have to invest in here? So learn the importance of storytelling. Okay, so similar to many specialized disciplines, the human resource development is a field where we focus on how learning and development at the individual team level organizations can bring the best value. A lot of people use this term workforce development in many disciplines. And many like people I work together think maybe placing graduates to the best job or industry, that's a workforce development. But when it comes to like managing the talent or attracting, retaining, onboarding, like keeping them successful, and not only individually, but bring the whole team and organizational success, it takes a village. And Texas A&M University has the nation's largest graduate, undergraduate, human resource and workforce development program. And I have the honor to serve the association as the 17th president. And so when it comes to, like we have this projects related to workforce, please consider us as a potential great, good partner, okay? So what I can tell you about assessment, measurement in the workforce space, even though we talk a lot about and we see many fast changing trends, like people change jobs much more frequently. And what they are looking for from the employer side are changing too. Whether there's a future career with this organization, how will they support me? But in practice, the assessment measurement are still in many places are outdated. For the most part, they use survey. Use human resource information system. You can think of a tool platform like Workday, and they use a survey. But the real challenge is I monthly have a meeting with HR practitioners in Silicon Valley, and I am in many practitioner communities through LinkedIn, and I hear this common challenge. Well, we use more than one program, like mentoring or leadership or training, compensations. And we don't know what to cut or how this program in the middle of using many things, creating what impacts. And now AI has come and I see a huge potential where these can be better integrated. And so, like I said, my background is a little bit unique. My data science journey started about maybe 15 years ago. This is my full-time faculty career about 25 years. After using multivariate statistics and traditional interview and focus group, I realized when I played a leadership role for one state association, I really got frustrated with the gap between measurement and practice. That is, anytime you become promoted or you take a leadership role, it's about tackling new tasks with a group of people. And so you have to really find out who has the skill and how to leverage. And so before I even realized there's a field called data science, I got interested in studying social network analysis. And it got me into to really better understand and leverage this network approach, more broader perspective, especially from sociology, political science, etc., will be useful. And with my IT background, it led me into, when you have a lot of variables, then you can take a machine learning approach. And when the data is messy text, then there's a text mining. But the reality is, I confess, in my doctoral training, no academic curriculum prepares and covers these data science approaches. And so I went back and I joke seriously, I studied linear algebra at 45 again. And recently I read the linear algebra book again because I realized in order to really better design and deliver the product and evaluate the product, then the core is conceptual clarity, about linear algebra, calculus, trigonometry, whether forces or attitude or behavior, the difference. If you really want to capture what that means mathematically, but also in practice conceptually, then that's the fundamental core, okay? And so this is the audience. I don't have to explain what data science is or what AI is, but for me, many educational research projects or academic classroom projects are don't have a strong impact because it is very research focused, not connecting to the practice side. But I fear I will share these project examples. You have to have this a foundation ready in order to maybe many things may not be certain when you design, form a team or start a project, but you have to have this foundation knowledge so that you can better estimate. Okay, that's what I learned by working as an IT manager for 6 years. Okay, and so when 2 3 years ago, when ChatGPT came out, I started using from day one. And I incorporated using it in my teaching and research. And I am amazed and a little bit challenged, like many of you, how these things are happening very fast. And so these days, like everyone talks about agentic AI. Well, last year, I spent a month or two to update my skills and knowledge about how Transformer works. And then about a month to get my hands dirty, like installing, running applications, API, RAG, RAG. But then agentic AI came. And so these days I am playing with LLMs, MCP, agent protocols, because I work in the talent management development and corporate side, I think a little more, okay? Where money comes in, where money goes, why people invest in this, and what are its implications. And so those are what I like to share and hopefully provide some insights. For example, like one phenomena is in HR, we call it super worker, okay? And so what one person can do with the LLM, with the agentic AI is really amazing, not only amazing, but threatening many companies, because when you think about like a job or workplace, the larger teams you have, the resources more you have, people considered it as a better approach. But now this agentic AI super worker phenomena is threatening and challenging everything. So whether it is a platform business, data center, like infrastructure or application side, or in between protocols and layers, I want, whether it is an academic curriculum or research projects, you need to know where your focus is. And so that's the slide I put there. So when it comes to workforce development and HR, I will use this term interchangeably. Okay, and I hope you can maybe relate these pictures to what's happening around your organization. So in large organizations, there tend to be two different HR sides. One is human resource management, and the other is human resource development. And of course, there is another school labor relations. And if you look at what's inside, then it tends to represent curriculum from the business school HR program, or in my case, my department is human resource development in the College of Education. You can see training development, career development, leadership development, evaluation, culture. Those are team development, tend to make the academic curriculum. But the fast changing trend is, if you look at the right side, these different subjects, components are being merged and changing together. So no matter what areas you work under HR, you have to attract the talent, let them get on board quickly, support to be more productive and perform their work well, and whether well-being, retentions, turnover. These days, people leave and come back. And so they are dealing with many different phenomena they didn't have before. And so as a college, university, maybe often we tend to think our graduates are the labor market. But these days, you know what the population of the extended workforce in the United States and globally? So when I talk about extended workforce, it's not just one group, freelancers, gig workers, outsourcing, HR temp work. And so you can see these are breakdown of from which group companies are hiring. In the United States, the percentage is close to 40%. Globally, about 50%. What does that mean? Well, the workforce composition is becoming more diversified and flexible and fluctuating, okay? And in these days, workforce and HR space, talent development management space, two terms are household terms these days. One is skilling. You probably heard about upskilling, reskilling, but people don't talk much about sunset skill or de-skilling. And because many startup companies and many large companies know human labor employees are the largest cost, I hope they consider it as an asset. But planning workforce capacity is a huge thing. And so you can see the life cycle, shelf cycle of the knowledge is getting shorter, and there's no such area as free from these challenges, frequent changes. Okay, so when I think of share this number, this is supported through research. Okay, it used to be very true when it comes to where does the competitive advantage come from? Is it individual talents or organizational capability? Okay, can you guess? Well, everyone tends to think about the importance of talents, right? Individual talents. And as a student, you want to really focus on how am I marketable employer, and hope companies can really recognize you as your asset. But when it comes to leadership standpoint and investor standpoint, they say and agree 80% of the organizational capability competitiveness comes from HR, organization, teams, not individuals. So I can give many examples why sports teams trade not just one player, but certain players, because they know by evidence and data, they prove that these guys are performing better. Okay? There are many such examples. Okay? But with the AI, I think this will be changing quickly with more individuals are being able to perform very productively that they didn't or couldn't before. Okay, and so why then this seems to be such a huge gap when it comes to HR? People call it HR or oftentimes people team or culture team. But as a scholar whose background is in this discipline, we know where HR workforce came from the compliance, personnel training, to corporate university with the IT, the transformations, changes over the years, you can see from the picture. Okay, so what it kind of brings this dual perspective. Okay, and this is actually why you are seeing the hiring, onboarding talent, like a career. These practices are so different across companies or organizations. But the reality is all these are interconnected now. Okay, we used to manage these different areas by functions, by different programs, by different individuals, but now one affects another. Whether it is a hybrid work or like a career pipeline, leadership pipeline, you cannot really manage or tackle one problem without considering the others. And I do really believe data science and computational method can become very effective to tackle this challenge. Okay, but when it comes to why then managing change is so difficult, well, there are many companies like a research group that provides useful statistics. Most large companies are using more than 100 technologies, tools. And maybe it doesn't take a long time for me to ask you guys why employee engagement, employee experience is so hard to manage. Then probably this answers why. Depending on the role you play, whether IT or leadership, administration, or operations. So if I ask you, what is your experience here at the university or in the office, then the experience that comes to you first is different, tend to be different. Maybe it is an onboarding experience, like how smooth or how effective it was, or it is a career kind of pathways that you were guided or not. And so organizations can be slower in responding to these challenges, but this is the landscape of HR. So I will switch my gear a little bit to my data science journey. Okay, so at A&M, for the first time in our discipline, I developed and teach doctoral level courses in data analytics. I teach 2 social network analysis courses, and I teach machine learning based people analytics course. And I just recently did 1 text mining NLP class with like doctoral students. And I always tell them first this: study SQL and relational database first. Okay, they don't go away. Even though after that, no SQL is still like very important to me. Okay, based on the projects I have done before, I always when I consult companies, I tell them whatever projects you take, bring data engineers to the team, because the time, energy we put into modeling or like discussing what solutions, programs to revise, actually the maybe same time, energy, if it was spent on collecting better data, related data, it would be much better. And so I'm not just saying it because I, in my 20s, spent the time learning Unix, Pine, VI code, and see how long it takes. And I don't claim I have the expertise, but because I have that experience, I can immediately maybe evaluate and assess how the data is best shaped or collected, and in what frequency, in what format. So I strongly recommend and say this with my students. So people analytics, still it's an emerging field, but the interesting thing is on LinkedIn, it's the fastest growing job sector on LinkedIn across industries. Can you guess, think why? Because intangible assets these days, companies compete on intangible assets. Whether it is an innovation, positive changes, it is the talent, individual talent. And so rather than relying on intuition or what they have been doing, they try to leverage data, make a data-driven or informed decisions. And because this area is relatively new, people use this term HR analytics, workforce analytics, or human capital analytics, talent analytics, still use it interchangeably or mix up. But HR analytics is popular. People criticize it. While HR should not be just about HR, it has to address business problems and operations, stakeholders. So I prefer the term people analytics. And without really what are good examples, and it's hard to really see what is people analytics and how companies are applying it. And so in 2008 and 2012, Google did this project, using employee survey interviews, because everyone was asking sharing myth or questions. If we work at a headquarters, I heard people are promoted faster. Or do we need a team? Do we need a manager? And so they gathered the data and found out who are effective team manager. Team manager makes a huge difference in terms of team performance. And so people who are scared and can be politically savvy and advocate, truly care about their team members. So they saw a big difference. And for the individual team, if you look at the left side, one interesting thing about this is there's no individual characteristics, whether psychological safety, a role clarity, decision, together, the outcomes they can see. So this really broke and surprised many people. Ooh, what we believe, what we have been doing versus what actual data tell us can be radically different. And so I will show you maybe 3-4 more classic different examples. During the COVID, everyone remembers our COVID days, and Microsoft, they are investing a lot in this space, people analytics. And so using Teams, Outlook, Calendar, they looked at what are the difference between high performers and low performers or average team versus like a not so strong teams. And they applied the network analysis. I have a close colleague who works as a senior analyst there. And so with like Microsoft is a leading company these days in people analytics. If you look at the data, there's only one indicator that high performers did, which is like every connectivity during the COVID dropped down. And one that significantly increased was the clustering coefficient. In other words, people tend to do Zoom among friends, but outside the team, like weak ties they need to make, groups they need to like know more, those all drop down, okay? And so network analysis has a lot of good indicators that really help people see what is the impact of structural dependency, interdependence that traditional survey doesn't give. And another company looked at this. Well, these days, with the extended workforce and people prefer hybrid work, remote work, they did look into the data and found if one new employee doesn't make a decent connection with the people to do their job in the first 10 months, they leave. And so based on that data, they looked at like digital collaboration data and created a buddy system. And so those, like they measured, increased the retention rate a lot. And of course, they measure many other things too. So when it comes to skills, then this Vodafone European company, like telecom company, constantly new technologies come out, such as 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G, and they cannot drop like one service the next day. They have to really phase out and communicate like what is required, what is expected better with their employees. And so by gender, by demographic groups, units, they shared this information, combined external data and internal data so that people can choose and plan properly. And I talk a lot about career, where like these days, HR platforms allow you to, okay, what is my next available option? Because when it comes to people leaving the organization, the traditional literature used to say this colleague relationship and supervisor relationships. But these days, they say differently. One is, like, is there a future in this organization as my career? The other thing is, okay, I cannot choose my partner, okay, and I hate that. And so these like new trends keep coming up. And so what kind of experiences, whether it is a degree or previous work experiences or like stackable certificates, they can tell what are their background, like where they work. And with the machine learning, you can find very specific evidence. So when it comes to people analytics, there are not many courses in academia, as I said. And so I will share some of the examples. And this is where practice is moving very fast and academic research is a little bit behind. And so around 2015, the journal editor invited me, I know you are working on this, so can you say something about this trend? And so I first wrote my article, and it took 2 years to write the first editorial claiming I made like a strong argument there in our journal. We need to take more data analytical approaches. And through the literature review, I learned that there's a core discipline called the computational social science method, specifically utilizing social network analysis, machine learning, text mining, and simulations. And I also learned which European institutions or in the US, which large research universities, not many, but there are some, including like UC and New York University, handful of universities are like having a program, graduate program, interdisciplinary program, computer science, engineering, social science together. Okay, so I kept like writing on this topic last year. I put a special issue in our field about where our workforce development, human resource development can contribute. And I joined the research group on LinkedIn called Society for People Analytics. So this is like a world-class industry leadership group, but also some academias realizing, well, if this field practice is growing this fast, then we need a more rigorous academic research. And so this group I joined, there are two faculty members. My colleague is from Vanderbilt University, and other members on the team are directors or senior VP from large companies like HP or CVS Health, Coca-Cola Company. And so these communities are growing too. Okay, so these are project examples I will show. And the first one, before I start, I will make a quick comments. This is what everyone says in terms of data, information, knowledge, wisdom, but I don't like this framework. Partially, I support it because in reality, data is everywhere, like the bottom part, and information from a lot of data is still there. But I want to really see more attention can go into proper design from the beginning, because without insights, without knowledge, you can do that. We spent a lot of resources into building database or information systems whatsoever, build the technology without a clear mid-term, short-term, long-term plan. And so this is a kind of approach I take. And also my journey, starting with the network analysis, machine learning, NLP, every project I do still start with an interview, okay? Because whether interviewing CFO or COO or like the leadership, their perspectives are really critical to identify what are value propositions here, what are value chains here, okay? What resources are being put, and I can now see better, even though many educational researchers in social science, in many disciplines, they see this like a research or analysis method as different technique. Behind the scene, it is data. You can like reorganize, you can clean the data, and you can repurpose using data for different reasons. And now, as I said, to me, traditional data science curriculum were structured like that under those like areas, but now I see AI is coming big, and in my using generative AI, my prompts are usually about if I try to do this, what other key considerations? How can this be integrated together? Whether normalization or network science design, what are the implications? I can be more confident and I can pick up this information much more quickly. But I know we are talking about huge implications and many uncertainties these days. Tamid, thank you. I got the course development grant to develop this workforce people analytics based on applying machine learning. And so before I teach this course, I posted about the course onto LinkedIn and met with about 10 industry managers or leaders to do meaningful projects for our students. I told them, Texas A&M, I teach this class. There are 10 doctoral graduate students. We can do predictive modeling. We can do clustering, but through these meetings, I could see where companies are, even large companies are not really mature or ready to collaborate. And so this one company, the person in charge was before former McKinsey consultant, and she understood exactly how this relationship can be mutually beneficial. And so this is a startup company that has close to more than 30,000 employees. But their growing rate is crazy. They just it's a transportation trucking company. making, manufacturing AI camera devices. And so their business model expanding quite a bit globally for safe driving, fuel efficiency, like supply chain, innovating the value chain with the many companies. And they made a huge contract with like one global company. And so the challenge they had was, well, we have higher than 45 or percentage like a turnover rate. And so we have been collecting survey data around 30 constructs: psychological safety, supervisor relationship, company loyalty, compensations, team data, like a company culture. We can provide you our 3 years of data. And whatever additional information you request, we can provide you. And so I signed a non-disclosure like agreement and formed a two group. And so they had the locations in Mexico, US, Pakistan, like Canada. And so managers always debate, is it age group, location, supervisor, what is affecting turnover? And so that's the project context. In my class, I always combine the two, technical like a component as well as a conceptual component. And so I arranged 5 or 4 like meetings with a client and asked the students to prepare your questions. Because I did also consulting for several years. And you cannot go to any meeting without a good list of questions. And each meeting you should prepare, because if you like lose a chance what to ask. And so the meeting started with, these are the situations, context, what are you investing, like what programs do you have to address this challenge, and what metrics do you have, what you want to measure better, and how can you articulate, persuade the leadership, like in terms of what you are doing. And so I included some of the screenshot of the textbook, and I will be happy to share the slide with those who are interested. And so each project, of course, a good data scientist will understand. You run all kinds of descriptive statistics, right? Summary statistics, outliers, visualizations. Getting a good sense of what kind of data you are dealing with is the first thing. And so I used R in the class, and students started learning R techniques to do those analysis. And the final result came out as accuracy above 80%, F1 score 75 or something close. And so whether at the individual variable or at the aggregate variable, they were able to pinpoint what are the most influential factors. Okay? And they were able to narrow it down to team factor, team size, and team working relationship, and aggregated component of employee engagement. And on the positive side, they were able to identify these variables such as work-life balance, relationships as influential factors. What the point is I want to make is I studied many materials and textbooks from engineering or machine learning, data science. There are not many variables, constructs that address people behavior or attitude. But these more secondary data through GitHub or Kaggle, data sets are coming up, and so there are examples you can apply. And so this is my first example. Second example, I worked with the Center for Teaching Excellence as a faculty fellow last year. And everyone knows Texas A&M is using Canvas. From a lot of people I hear, instructors use Canvas very differently. And so whether it is a discussions or materials, assignment, quizzes, what makes a difference? So that was the project context. And I got paired with one project manager from CTE and two student workers. And actually, on some of these projects, I worked with graduate students who are currently students in the data science program. And so projects started like this, finding where those data are stored and what's the size of the data, like how fast or quickly those data are created, and what does the literature say about affecting students' work experiences, students' course experiences, and success in the course. And so the focus was on predicting the dropout. And so a lot of processing happened. And so it was about a 6-month long project. And there were many questions, of course, where online or face-to-face class make a difference. 100 level, 200 level, 300 level course will make a difference. And so we started with this. And you look at the left side, we ran all the data descriptive analysis first, and like a bar chart, spread, central tendency, correlations, and the first outcome of the model was not really good. And so we had to play with lots of data transformation to see and be able to select major features better. And so after that, so through normalization, standardizations, again, I feel the team really applied all kinds of like good practices when it comes to good analysis. So the final result, we applied supervised machine learning. And so this was the final result. Okay? So we picked the College of Education, and the K5 set created close to 1,600 students, and accuracy came out at 96%, precision came out 85%, F1 score around 0.8. So when you think about how you can predict students' struggle, like a dropout in the semester, and using 3 weeks information only, and we were able to predict this way. And so the project didn't stop there. The ultimate goal has to, so what, right? To help how you help with the faculty, how you help with the Center for Teaching Excellence. What does this error rate, different error rate means? And so we followed up. Okay, so model may make a wrong prediction for students who are super organized and do the work quickly. And in that case, they predict as a potential risk students, and these are the small percentage it happens. Or some students log on, do nothing. But model thinks they are active on the platform, and so they predict wrong. And so, of course, we realize there are a lot of follow analysis this model can improve, such as adding student demographic information and expanding to other colleges, and breaking down, digging deeper into creating additional features, adding log data, etc. And the model will continuously improve. And another project, okay? So in Texas, we have a lot of rural areas, and hiring STEM teachers is a challenge in rural areas. And supervisors, superintendents, their ratio is so large, and so these teachers don't get opportunities to get good feedback, and so it affects teacher retention. And so this was part of Department of Education grant, and I was asked to join the team the last year when the previous work stayed where more further progress needs to be made. And so this is the context, okay? So there are a lot of face-to-face courses and Zoom session classes were recorded. And so there were close to 110 videos delivered to STEM teachers in English in the middle class. and the on-site team, project team, already published a paper and observations and giving feedback were all previously done manually. And so we decided to apply machine learning and AI. And so starting with the transcript, automatic transcript, apply the machine learning and also AI approaches too. And so these are the kind of process you can see. Teachers in a classroom talk, demonstrate, clarify, ask questions. So you can see a list of instructional method. And students can respond or collaborate, ask each other. And so there are different types of behaviors you can see students perform. And using this approach, you can predict, classify, accuracy. And at first, the result were good for some categories, not so strong in other categories. When it comes to text classification, what social science research recommends is about 0.7 accuracy agreement between coders. And so seeing some areas need to improve further. So I led the team, okay, this is maybe we should try, we can try. And so we applied the neural network, deep learning, and to everyone's surprise and not surprise, the result improved quite a bit in some categories. So the point is, if the value comes below about 6, it is as an exploratory study can publish. If it is below about 70, of course, there are more you have to go into, where subcategories, numbers of data imbalance, those are things have to be addressed. And so the project ended within the grant time period, but one good thing about the work was as a result, okay, if the accuracy comes out low, how can you improve? With a background in data science, you can apply maybe n-gram keywords, data pre-processing can improve. If it is the AI not recognizing certain behavior, maybe I met with a visual CS faculty whose research is on visual AI, and so it made sense. When I talked to them, shared the result, how can AI predict better about in this situation, the classification is not as accurate. And so those feedback, I took it and incorporated it into the final report. How am I doing in terms of time?
It's 2:48.
48. So I will wrap up and showcase the network science, network approach, because I really, this is my kind of passion, research method. And when it comes to social capital, social network, I do that because the concept of social capital is different from human capital, education and training. It takes a village. So when I share this example, I do a pop quiz, which team is most valuable, like a professional team among all the sports, including baseball, basketball. People guess wildly, football, basketball, soccer, and they guess it wrong, 99%. The team is Dallas Cowboys. And this surprises people because they rarely won a championship. I lived in Dallas for 10 years, and what they do to do the fandom and sell their goods, brand nationally, entertainment business is ridiculous. The community partnership they do to support K-12 and college is really amazing. And so through that, why do you care to build a network or collaboration? Whether AI or analytics, industry partnership, we always talk about the importance of relationship. There are two types of relationship: emotional support, task completion relationship. And people build a relationship, invest in the relationship for power, wealth, or reputation. Okay? And in designing a good project or leveraging network, you have to understand these properties. Okay, you want to build a relationship with more people with better resources, diverse sources, and range. So when it comes to like what kind of properties are critical in studying a network, because in order to do a good job, finding the network boundary, finding a critical relationship, and finding the motive and action and outcome is the critical key. And so there are lots of questions you can start with. What are you trying to find? Who are key players, peripheral players, who are core team? How the innovation ideas translate into actions? Are there any silo, right? And so once these are in place, then you need to whether focus on one close boundary network or more large open source network, because some network can be 1,000 people, okay? And so like at one company, they invited me, like newly or highly productive middle managers, but they don't know each other, but they need to share each other. And so, like I said at the beginning, when you get promoted, who do you want to know who more? Like, is it easy to access this person, or like working with whom will be helpful? Because people making a weak tie is the most difficult thing. Like our strongest human nature is a homophily. And so unless you make that connection intentional, then a network can be easily broken down, and it provides a lot of opportunities. So I did like network projects with company executives, and so this is 46 C-level executive network. When I gave a workshop, like their reaction was like this. They are located 4 globally locations, and they are the largest OEM company for a shoe company everyone knows. Okay, I won't name it, just to do it company, then you get it. Okay? And so, like we've been working for long years together. We are located in the same building. We are friends to each other. Against all these common belief or misconceptions, and task interdependency or like friendship network, those came out. But how closely they were within the same unit was not a factor. And so we were able to present many key like result, and especially for newly joined leaders, they were not sure whether they were building network like well, because a key like a factor that influences leader effectiveness and impact is how effective their network is. And so we provided one-on-one coaching session. And so at Texas A&M, in my course, like I said, I always bring projects. I did this project with the Zachary Leadership Development Engineering Group. And so through meetings with a program director, they wanted to know their program is not traditional leadership training program. They want to develop like emotional intelligence, civic intelligence for the students. And so we incorporated emotional intelligence growth mindset and did the project and presented the result at the center with the students. And they were very like interested about, oh, who do you recognize as an emerging leader, and what factors, is it friendship or trying to solve the problem together? So like this was the application of the social network analysis. One recent project I am doing, still this is an ongoing project. And so in Texas, there are like a group entity that fight 14 species. And so the faculty in the College of Agriculture came to me. So the problem is state agency don't know, like if the federal government wants to know, manage the network, collaboration network better. But among landowners, state agencies, and commercial players, they try to hide their network information. How can you find this out? Okay, and so we designed a network survey and collected the data. So when it comes to doing a good network project, finding like what kind of properties you collect from the respondents, whether it is experience, seniority, gender, and about the others, like alters, you want to make a relationship with. Is it like what kind of entity? How do you compare in terms of expertise, similarity? Why do you connect? Is it to help each other or get advice from? So those are all important. And so we designed it and collected it, and we got very positive responses. And so now the project is expanded into collecting the network data from 10 states, like Great Plains states. And so we finished collecting data, and we are about to start analyzing the data. And so because the project is still ongoing, we are trying to capture this. Okay, we can identify whether it is their partner characteristics or ego responder characteristics, or how do the network compare among 10 different states. And so this information, we hope, can be useful when it comes to when we give that information result back to the decision makers. They can hopefully make a better decision. So I intentionally like held this off until the last part. What is people analytics? What is HR analytics? What is workforce analytics? Many people have a misconception. It is about analyzing data well. But as you can see, and I published this work, it is to improve the business and improve the people side. And you can apply data science to make a better alignment. Because as I said, now one huge challenge I see is between programs, interventions now people create, and what they assess. How much did you like it? Will you recommend it to others? Or did you find it useful or not? There's a huge gap. And I feel we can fill this gap by, you need to know who your stakeholders are, what their needs are. And don't jump into designing or analyzing the data. If you create the visual map, what are you investing? What metrics you are using? And what are really drivers? Because many times we measure what's called lag indicators, what happened already, not the things, whether behaviors or motivations we are trying to influence. And it's not possible to align this without building a strong team. And in the team, I say business partner, HRBP, someone who has an expertise in tech and data has to be in your team. But you also have to, as an organization, have a good governance, good vision, good strategy, good culture. And so this is my view of what a good workforce analytics are. And my last slide is this. So you have messy data. Practices are changing fast, so fast. But I see a lot of new phenomena. We have to do more research. We have to better prepare our students, because these days, 2 people, 3 people can create a new startup that traditionally tend to require a lot more resources. And so task is being broken down a lot more, and using this generative AI is creating, redefining, disrupting many areas of work. And so whether YouTube, globally, or I have more connections with people in South Korea or East Asia. And so whenever I hear these phenomena, then I keep thinking what kind of research projects will be useful, and in terms of curriculum, preparing our students, and what kind of experiences are necessary. And so this year, College of Education created a new position, faculty research fellow who works closely with the research enterprise office. And I was selected as a faculty fellow, and I've been coming to some meetings, and I've been communicating with Yalong, Dr. P, and others participated in the workshop in hopes of, I sent my students to the ambassador program in hopes of where we can work together. And I see College of Education as an entity when it comes to developing AI literacy or skills, or better understanding workforce or talents, students learning. And we just started a new undergraduate program called Learning technology and performance systems. And our dean and leadership is strategically investing in bringing new faculty members whose background spans analytics and AI. And so whether it is ethical use, proper use, adoption, AI literacy skills, that's where I have this long-term plan, starting with monthly maybe programs and creating resources for students to do research, faculty research, and potentially looking for collaboration opportunities with faculty from other schools, colleges, and office resources like data science, TAMIs. So that's that's the content I prepared for today. I hope this could be useful for folks to see as how College of Education, social science can be our partners, what kind of projects we can tackle together. And I will stop my presentation and open up for any questions.
Thank you.
Just an example, when you were, if I understand it, you were surveying the participants to understand the factors that led them to identifying, future leaders. So did you develop a predictive model for that could be used somehow independently, or was it only kind of valid when you have people together?
So I teach a course on leadership for my doctor program, and I in that class use all the popular leadership survey. There's a scale for transformative leadership, empowering leadership, contingent leadership, behavioral leadership, you name it. But for the engineering program, leadership is about interdependence and structure. And there's a formal leadership, there's an informal leadership. I got students from management and biopsychology. Students told me in management, there's a construct called emerging leadership. So who you identify as an emerging leader, that's an informal group setting. And so that was the measure we used in the survey. Of course, we could incorporate other scales, whether it is a leader-member exchange or other scales. But what this network approach allows you to do is to who you identify. It's similar to 360 feedback, rather than perception attitude-based responses, which assumes independence, doesn't make sense. But if you capture data this way, then someone who got nominated more, who they recognize or who they interact more frequently. So that way you can better, in my belief, assess who is an informal true leader who plays a.
So are those learnable skills? I mean, you think, okay, we identify these kind of traits which lead to that recognition. So, but are they traits? Are they skills which can be learned? And then if so, how do you?
Absolutely, that's actually excellent question, because there are similarities and differences and certain complementary points between traditional measurement. I have a background in scale development and validation. One unique challenge with the social network research is there are not standardized instruments. The reason is the important relationship is different across industry, across organization. For example, in some place, protecting information, accuracy check, who do you go to construct a problem is far more important than for creative ideas, who do you go to? And so there's not a standardized similar method techniques that apply compared to traditional leadership scale. However, the social network analysis literature is mature enough so that others validated or replicated and empirically supported for those reasons. For example, weak tie, strong tie, nobody questions or challenge the difference. But how they measure actually operationalize is not standardized. Is it frequency? Is it intimacy? Is it like the perception of feeling close? And so there are different and rigorously peer-reviewed studies that operationalized and compared the result with other previous studies. So I hope that can answer part of your questions. And if this measure is not valid, then the top journal like the Leadership Quarterly, Administrative Science Quarterly, Academy of Management Studies will not publish. But they do have a lot of studies and like a community that focus on social network study.